Hey, what's going on, guys? So, ahead of our game Sunday against the New England Patriots, first home game, so that'll be exciting. I know Robert Saleh has been really excited to finally get in front of an actual Jets crowd outside of like a practice setting. But there's three things that I think we should really be looking forward to or expect to see for Sunday to continue to try to give us some hope. I mean, Zach Wilson had a pretty solid game, all things considered, with him getting hit on the. We might as well just call it the majority of his dropbacks, but I think the realistic number was 19 of 19 of I think 42 is what I seen. Either way, way too much. And then we know we had the six official sacks. Again, two or three of those I felt like were on him a bit, where he had a decent pocket, or it was something where we seen it collapse and he wasn't gonna be able to break away. He should have at least just got it out of his hands. Um, but getting into the three things, so I think the first one is something that we haven't had consistently or dominantly since the days of Rex Ryan, and that's going to be the running game. It's a little bit vague with the title, right? But here's what I'm essentially looking for. If it looks effective, if we're getting the ball and we're moving it on the ground, we're getting first downs. We're seeing chunk plays get broken off. Zach Wilson was really only the big play threat. In terms of being the quarterback, he had 5 plays of 20 plus yards, I believe it was, which was really great to see. But in the running game, we haven't had anybody. I believe nobody even cracked the 3 yards per carry mark. So I would be satisfied if we seen at least 50, 60 yards on the ground for the night, either from whatever the main ball, whomever the main ball carrier should be, or just as a team, not including Zach Wilson. Let's just call it baby steps. So Michael Carter stood out. He's had some flashes. I wouldn't say it's been very consistent. And there was at least a preseason game or two where, you know, we would have picked up some concerns based on how long it was taking him to kind of hit the hole. He didn't seem fully committed, I would say, at certain times. Um, and then, we don't know what the rotation is going to look like. The hot hand apparently went to Coleman last game. We'll see if the carries get, divvied up a little bit more evenly. But I also think just kind of the motions of the game were going. We ended up being behind. We had to try to make some plays, and obviously the passing game was a lot more effective than the running game. So I would like to see the offensive line, pick up some of the stunts better, and just kind of be more of a threat. Elijah Vera Tucker had a very, very solid game. I think I seen he was ninth in run blocking per PFF. Um, Other than that, Becton was out. George Fant came in. I think he played pretty solid. Morgan Moses is probably trying to work some rust off and things still. And then we know what the right guard position has been looking like. So I think even Connor McGovern kind of showed some glimpses of bouncing back for sure. Um, Other than that, yeah, I'm really looking for hopefully a strong day. Sean Green might be the last legitimate rusher we had that was probably, a threat. LT and Sean Green. Bilal Powell had some runs sprinkled in there, or at least some seasons sprinkled in there, where he was a very effective third down back and kind of a relief carrier. But we got a whole new roster, and that position's been overturned quite a bit. So hopefully we see good returns on that against the New England Patriots, and they're having a few injuries, a few players that didn't quite perform up to the normal standards that they have, and like Dante Hightower. Um, Other than that, I guess moving on to the second thing, I would want to see another player step up in the passing game. So Corey Davis kind of lit things up. 5 receptions, if I believe, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Um, the connection's live and well. We've seen him do some very solid things in the preseason. Um, I think the major difference between game one and what we've seen from like the joint practices preseason is so many things kind of went wrong and were breaking down in the midst that we've seen what we essentially chose Zach Wilson for, which was the unscripted plays when things are breaking down, kind of going schoolyard with it and really being able to excel, a la like an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes for all the references that he gets. But I feel like most of the plays that we've seen that were effective in preseason, things that were available to the crowd and things were scripted. There wasn't going to be a whole lot of, pocket movement and things like that that came out just while they were kind of doing the install for the offense, kind of running some vanilla plays and things like that to not really tip their hand. And then, of course, not to overwhelm Zach Wilson as well. But I think that's exactly what we seen game one, where he was able to buy a little bit of time on the first touchdown and kind of caught Corey Davis near the right side of the end zone, for that first touchdown. And, he had maybe 8 yards of separation, I would say, or so. So that was really good to see. And then the second one was just, definitely a rapport connection there, where right before he even really made the cut on his move to the right, the ball was already out and Corey Davis was just able to kind of, solidify the play. So I would like to see that more. Elijah Moore had some opportunities. There's a deep pass that, he wasn't able to bring in. There's another, clutch catch that got called back due to penalty. And then otherwise, it was just kind of a ghost. I don't think that's going to be the norm. But then, in the same breath, I kind of pointed out before, he hasn't ran full or half speed, I would say, against any other teams in a legitimate game setting. He's had the joint practices, but still some injuries came into place. Better safe than sorry. And so that was his first live action going full speed, first string defenses, that whole kind of situation. So I would say if there's one person that's going to stand out, my two candidates would definitely be Elijah Moore. As much as I want to stick with Jamison Crowder just because he's the veteran and he's always performed in any situation. But Elijah Moore is definitely the future. He's been learning from Jamison Crowder, Braxton Berrios, definitely two of the more underrated slot receivers in the league. And I definitely think all of those things that were very pronounced during preseason are going to be prevalent again, especially since I wouldn't say while the New England defense is well coached, I won't say the cornerback the cornerback depth is as solid as it normally is. But maybe we take advantage. We'll see how often he gets back into the rotation. Maybe he's a bit in a doghouse. Maybe they'll let him work his way out of it. And then the final thing gets more into the coaching side. I felt like Robert Saleh and his staff, he got with LaFleur, did whatever he needed to. Got with Matt Cavanaugh, spoke with our team, and I think they came out. They really made a lot more adjustments that they needed to, considering especially that we kind of had to abandon the run game a bit in that second half as well. So I think that's about the best thing that we could have asked for. The team knows what we're gonna have to do coming out of the second half. And they weren't, I won't say that it's, not that they wouldn't stop us, but we made the plays that we needed to make, when the people's numbers were called. So I think shout outs to the team for definitely the resilience. What I want to see is a stronger first quarter game plan for sure. The team coming out, starting fast, putting some points up on the board, even if it's, maybe just a few field goals just to kind of get that consistency and kind of get that feeling, they just barely missed out and maybe getting in the red zone and, putting 7 up. Other than that, it's definitely been a struggle for us for, the majority of the last decade. I think the last time that we really scored, points in the first quarter on our first drive was at this point, 2019, I believe. It was a Ryan Fitzpatrick drive, if I remember correctly. I think it might have went to Eric Decker. I'm probably misquoting that. Either way, though, you get the point. It's been a long time since the first quarter has really been something that's, propelled us forward. If you have a strong first quarter, let's say you're even up by just 10 points, the whole game kind of really changes, right? If coaches are really scripting plays, that gets thrown out the window. It kind of tests their team's mettle, tests the coach's ability to kind of adapt to the situation. And while I think we bounce back, I think the progression that I want to see from the coaching staff is definitely, instead of having to make the adjustments at halftime and we see a much better team, having those adjustments get made, drive to drive, at some point even, play to play. I'm sure, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, they're masters of kind of that, staying in the moment and being able to kind of master what the defense is doing, what they're giving up. They're really playing chess out there for the most part. And, we have a very, very brand new coaching staff, very much so like the rest of the team. So I'm sure it'll come in, I'm sure it'll come in time. But I still have full faith in them. The first game was a tough loss for us. Definitely had that feeling of us being able to come back, and I would love to see us pile up a bunch of wins. While I would like us to just dominate most of those games, I wouldn't be mad if Zach Wilson has a bunch of fourth quarter comebacks as well. Either way, with that said, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on what you think are some of the most key things we might want to see in this second game. I think the three that I put out there are very reasonable for us to see get turned around fairly easy with this very next game instead of it being kind of a longevity thing. But again, appreciate the support, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. Peace.